Wikileaks founder Julian Assange can appeal to the UK Supreme Court against a high court ruling that he may be extradited to the US. However, the high court refused him permission for a direct appeal, meaning the Supreme Court will have to decide whether or not it should hear his challenge. Assange's fiance, Stella Morris, gave testimony condemning the United States treatment of Assange and discussed the CIA's plot to kill Julian and targeted his lawyers and family as well. Let's go ahead and watch.
Julian's lawyers were targeted by name, not just incidentally spied on. There are emails telling the security company to target Gareth Pierce, to target Aitor Martinez, to target Julian's legal team. And their documents were stolen. And Baltasar Garzón's office was broken into, just as the CIA was planning to murder Julian. And our 6-month-old baby's nappy was instructed to be stolen so that they could use that, analyze the DNA to check whether Julian was the father. This is flagrant criminality. We're dealing with criminals.
Yeah, it's just absolutely horrendous, his treatment that we've reported on the show, and she just discussed the potential plot by the CIA to kill Julian. So obviously he's not. There's reason to worry, to wonder whether he'd be safe in those terms in U.S. Authority. And then of course it is taking a terrible toll, as we've heard from. We've had his brother on the show. The mental health, the physical toll it's taking. So it's just awful.
It's kind of the thing is that oh, sorry, go ahead, Briahna.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's kind of incredible that we are even having this conversation so casually. The idea that there's a CIA murder plot afoot and most mainstream outlets aren't even touching this issue, much less touching it with any real sympathy for Julian Assange.
Yeah. And the tough part about this for the UK is I just don't see them. I wish there was a better argument that the lawyers could make on behalf of Julian to keep him in the country, to not extradite him to the United States. Of course, there are many other arguments that they could be using, like that this is a sham investigation, that the person that they used in order to pin this on Julian Assange is a convicted, like sex offender of some, criminal in his own right that was looking to save his own skin. There's all these other things that they could be using. I'm not sure if this argument saying that the United States tried to kill Julian Assange, the United States is potentially going to be putting him in these horrific conditions, is going to hold. And not that it isn't true, I think it's true.
No, you're right. I agree with you. Yeah. I don't think it's, of course, the authorities they're not going to buy we're putting him in danger, right? They're authority. So they're deferential to authority by nature.
Yeah. And American torture has always been judged by a different standard. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they don't want to. I mean, what is the UK going to say? Are they going to say the United States is a dangerous place and they're filled with corrupt criminals that can't keep prisoners safe? And I mean, they're not going to be pointing the finger at the United States and placing blame like that. They're just not going to. I mean, they're not going to rule like that because of the implications of a ruling that sort of implies that, right? So that's just kind of the thing that really is unfortunate about this. Is I don't know if there is a way to stop his extradition, unfortunately, except for political pressure coming from the people inside the United States to pressure the Biden administration to put a stop to this.
That's it. We should just not do this because it's wrong, and the information that WikiLeaks exposed was something that people deserved to hear, that it was important. So he should just be pardoned or preliminary
just drop the
commutation.
charges.
Drop it. Just move on.
Well, maybe this is a space where we're also frustrated with Joe Biden's inability to get anything through the Senate, where the pressure can be more focused on the kinds of things that he can do.
He can do this. This is something he can do.
So this one's teed up for the protesters. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, podcaster and comedian Joe Rogan also called attention to the issue, weighed in on Assange's case on the Joe Rogan Experience. Let's watch that.
The whole thing it's so disturbing because when it boils down to what did he do that is illegal? What did he do that people disagree with, that people in the United States disagree with in terms of the citizens? Well, he exposed horrific crimes. He exposed things that were deeply that the United States citizens are deeply opposed to, and the fact that is something that you in this country can be prosecuted for, that they would try to extradite you and drag you from another country. They'd kick him out of the embassy and bring him back to the United States to try him for that. It seems like we're talking about some kangaroo court. It seems like we're talking about some dictatorship.
Yeah, this is a point we make with some frequency, but it's worth repeating that there is a First Amendment right to practice journalism that everyone enjoys. You don't have to be a journalist. There's no special verification system. Doesn't matter if you have a blue check or not. If you come into information, you can share it. They didn't steal this information. They didn't obtain it in some illegal way. The people who did do that, there's some law you could hold them accountable. I would argue we shouldn't, because this is important information. But all they did is let the people know that their government was lying to them about atrocious, horrible criminal behavior.
But I think it's important to point out that that's not the case the government is making. The government is making the case that he did hack or he facilitated hacking. So they're saying that was the crime. I mean, some of the charges, I think there's 17 against him. Some of the charges do have some connection towards the actual publishing of the documents. But by and large, what the government is going after him for is they're making the claim, again, based on the testimony of this Siggy dude who was, who's gone to prison or been at least charged and sentenced for, like I said, sexual misconduct with an underage person, also embezzlement, all these other things. This person is not a credible witness, a reliable witness, and they're hinging the case saying that he somehow either facilitated the hacking, participated in the hacking, or he encouraged the hacking. And they're saying that in particular is the crime. So even though this kind of, in our discussions and in the public discourse, the only people who are talking about it, it kind of goes into this discussion of, well, it's not a crime to go out to publish. It's not a crime to commit journalism. The government isn't claiming that. They're claiming something different. And they've got to make that case. And their case is flimsy. And we should all be pointing it out and calling on the Biden administration to drop this because their case is flimsy.
Right. But and that would, if they get their way, that will de facto expand the boundary of what constitutes what's hacking, what's in a way that it imperils other works of journalists doing their work.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's what we'd have to have the discussion on, and it doesn't ever get into that. It's like, well,
and we have to have the discussion at all, right? This is not something that's being, as you said, this is not something that's being covered. I think I saw, the only coverage I saw, and probably there's been more, but the main stories I saw at MSNBC.com was just someone saying like, oh, this is because this could revive the Robert Mueller investigation. Like that was their level of interest in this story.
I mean, I saw Marianne Williamson out there on the stump this morning. The people who've been beating the drum are still beating the drum, but unfortunately, it's going to require a little bit more than that to get picked up, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow on Rising,
sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
I just want to make one last little point.
Sure.
I do want to mention that one case that kind of is similar and that is worth kind of mentioning on this is Project Veritas. So you remember when their office got raided and some emails were taken by the FBI, and it was attorney-client privilege emails. It was
his house. I think O'Keefe. We had O'Keefe on last week. Yeah. We talked with him about his book. I think his house. They came in the dead of night like they usually do.
And was it Washington Post or New York Times got a hold of those emails? New York Times, and they ended up publishing those emails. And then actually it went to court, and the court said they couldn't, or they put a stop to it. And I actually thought that was the wrong decision. I felt like that went in line with Assange. If you get your hands on documents and you're a journalist, I don't know how you got them, but I think it's, if it is a matter of public interest of some sort, then you should be able to publish them.
Actually, so Ryan and I had a long conversation with O'Keefe on the show last week about this. So if anybody's interested in more detail on that, check out that video. But tomorrow on Rising, Wall Street Bets founder Jamie Rogozinski will be with us to discuss Congress's love affair with stock trading.
And author Catherine Liu will be here to make her case against the professional managerial class.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a video. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hopefully we'll be as colorful as we were today.
Yes, we will be.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.